and welcome to another episode of The Flank. I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Benjay Nassim, and then of course we got Patrick Price, aka Aches. Gentlemen, what's going on? Obviously, Chris Parasite, he can't make it tonight. This is kind of like an emergency flank. We kind of ran it out of nowhere. We were just like, fuck it, let's do a show tonight. Let's have some fun. How you guys all doing today, man? You doing good, Pat? You doing good, Ben? How you guys doing?
You gonna go first, Pat?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm doing great, Tom. Listen, the Lakers play the Warriors tonight, if no one is aware.
That's going to be a good one, bro.
LeBron is going to, LeBron's going to put people back in place. Curry had his nice little 50 bomb. Listen, the guy shot 40 times. Like, LeBron's getting 50 on 30 shot. So,
yeah, I don't know. Pat, you got the Lakers in this one? You got the Lakers in this series?
Lakers in 4, Tom. I got the Lakers winning both.
4?
Interesting.
I got the Lakers winning both and goes, it's over. It's over.
I do feel like LeBron is like on his like bullshit right now. He's on like his old man tour right now. Like I just feel like
absolutely.
He's just got straight veteranship out there. You know what I mean? And
he's
a lot like me, Tom. He's a lot like me.
Yeah, Slay, it's basically you. You know what I'm saying, Slay? Go ahead, Ben. What were you gonna say?
I mean, he's been doing this the last couple of years when he's been healthy. I mean, LeBron's putting him numbers in what's his 18th season in the league? Something like that?
Something 19? Like that, bro.
19?
Something like that.
Bro, the numbers he's put up his 19th season is like actually insane. Like no one in the history of the NBA is doing shit that he's doing, but I don't think it's gonna be a 4-game series. I think it's gonna be 6 or 7 games. We know that the Warriors are kind of iffy on the road this season. Effort level defense hasn't always been there when they're not at home. We know the Lakers have been on this hot streak, but you know, Curry and Klay Thompson show up in games. I think it's gonna be a good series. I'm excited to watch.
Yeah,
and I'm watching the Knicks series right now, and they're fucking losing to Miami.
Damn, that's your team, huh, Ben? That's your team right there.
They're fucking losing full, man. But
that's crazy, bro. Well, man, we wanted to run a show because obviously just some stuff has been hitting the fan. We were gonna run through the teams, do a tier list after the major, and then there was a few things that came up on our on our table right in front of us that we thought would be pretty interesting to talk about. And I say we just get right into it. Don't want to waste any time, but I see them in the chat right now. I see the Florida Mutineers in the chat, so I think we should start off with that. But the Florida Mutineers, we're expecting a little bit of a change here coming in from the Florida Mutineer camp. Ben, why don't you explain what that is?
Yeah, so there is some reporting that came out today via Jacob Hale that the Florida Mutineers will be potentially rebranding. As you see this flank tweet on your screen right now if you're watching the video version of our show. There's a trademark out there for Miami Heretics, and trademark was filed by a LLC called Esports Go. If you do a little bit of diving in on the LLC, it's attached to Misfits Gaming, people that own the Florida Mutineers.
Yep.
So yeah, it looks like what's going on here is just like when the Misfits Gaming sold their LEC spot to Heretics last summer. It looks like they're doing something similar. I don't know if it's a full sale or a partnership with the spot, but it looks like Heretics is coming in. I think the biggest thing to maybe new people, and then I'll kind of kick it to you guys. Some of our newer viewers might be like, who's Heretics? What's the deal? So Heretics, big Spanish esports org. They're not new. They've been around for a very long time. I looked it up. They've been around since 2015, 2016. So they've been here for a minute. COD fans probably remember them best for the Black Ops 4 season, in which their team qualified for the Pro League and were a huge viewership draw. A huge draw. They were like a top 6, top 8 team in terms of placements for most of the year. I know at Champs they kind of didn't play their best, kind of unfortunate there. But I think my initial thought is it's a W for the Spanish viewership coming in. Curious to see what they do with potentially a full Spanish team. But Pat, here's what you think.
Well, hold on. Are they gonna be a full Spanish team? We don't know. We don't know what they're gonna be. They could be a full Spanish team. That would be cool if they were, but.
Yes, there's a rumored rotation tweet out, like a rumored roster. It was like 5 players, all Spanish players. That's the rumor. I'm curious your thought, Pat, and then I'll kind of go next on what I think they should do.
Yeah. So before I get into that, Ben, I'm kind of mind blown right now. I had a 1099 last year from Esports Go LLC. I didn't know that was the Florida Mutineers.
No way.
Wait, what was the 1099 for?
It was $1 million. It was $1 million. They only do it. They wanted to do $1 million over 1. They didn't do 3 over 3. But I am mind blown. I did not know that was their.
It's technically
their parent company.
Esports. I looked it up on Dun & Bradstreet. It's like Esports. The trademarks under Esports Go. I think the actual LLC name is like Esports Holding Co.LLC. Like pretty funny.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I get
But
your
yeah,
joke
getting back to the point, I mean, I think, I think this is going to be a common theme for a few CDL teams. We've kind of seen this. Florida's been on that what we would call the lower echelon of pay scale, I guess, from some of these North American players. So it doesn't surprise me to see them partnering with another organization. I think we saw perhaps Rokkr's parent company was considering doing the same thing. I think it's a good move overall. We saw version 1 tweet out that they were, right? There was a rumor that version 1 was looking for a merger.
Oh, I didn't even know about that. You said Rokkr? I didn't even know about that. Or did we talk
version
about
that? 1. I thought it was like DeSerto tweeted that somewhere.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. We've heard about mergers in the past, though. We've heard about teams trying to sell the spot or merging, or I feel like it's kind of like some teams merging.
Like a month ago. Yeah, people said a month ago it was on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But like specific to like Misfits, I mean, it's been known since last summer that they were, as an org, transitioning away from esports. They were in pretty much everything, including all the franchise leagues.
But they've been rumoring selling the Overwatch, right? I think that was the first one I saw.
Well, there was a New York Times, it was either New York Times or Washington Post article, and there were some quotes from Ben Spoon.
Yeah,
he then kind of walked back a couple days later about the franchise league. So I think they're like writing's been on the cards about this spot and what they've wanted to do. And I think we probably potentially should have seen this coming with the deal they did with the Heretics in their LEC spot last summer.
Something to consider, though. Heretics was one of the rumored teams originally, right? When we were talking about the CDL happening, like
the
Madrid.
Spanish,
the Madrid.
It was Madrid. Team, It was supposed to be a Madrid team.
Yeah. They were one of the rumored teams beforehand. So, it's good to see that their interest, right, hasn't wavered in Call of Duty. That's always a good sign. And I think, I haven't seen those guys play. I haven't been following them in the European challengers, but I assume they're all doing, just as good as they were back in the day when they were in the CWL. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this roster looks like. I think, we've been kind of not hoping, but expecting more Florida changes, right? They've kind of been in that bottom 4 echelon with the dark horse potential to upset your favorite team at some events, but kind of haven't jumped into that top echelon of teams. So I'm wondering if, these Spanish guys come over, live in the North America for a whole season, what that'll look like. So
what do you think sparked this merge? What do you think sparked it? Like why do the merge? Do you think was it like a funding thing? Do you think they needed more money? Like what do you think was the main reason?
Having someone else bear some operational costs, I would imagine.
I think Misfits has been trying to pivot more to kind of a content or talent agency and less than esports. I think that's been clear since the summer. So to Pat's point, I've been thinking they want. I don't know if. Again, we don't know if this is, and this hasn't been officially like announced at all yet. Don't know if this is like a full sale to spot. Don't know if this is like sort of a partnership situation.
What happens to Ogre 2 here?
Yeah, what happens to Tom is definitely a good question.
What happens to the whole roster?
I think that
I could tell you what happens to the roster, Tom.
I mean, you could probably, they're probably. But wait,
hold on.
Wait, doesn't Vic?
Yeah.
Hello? China. Oh shit, y'all take it. Oh, you guys are taking the whole current Florida Mutineers roster?
China.
Got it. Yeah, Tom, they're all going to China, Tom. With Dylan Brooks.
I was just gonna say that reminds me of Dylan Brooks, man.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
They're actually catching the same flight.
No way, we're roasting.
They're gonna be sitting next to Dylan Brooks. I don't want to play to China. But go ahead, Ben.
Well, listen, I don't think. Real quick, Ben, I was gonna say I don't think these guys need to stress. All those players are good. But hey, it might be a time for them to learn X Defiant.
It might be. Slay. Go ahead, man.
But no, I mean, I think Vic will they'll probably keep around. I would say, listen, here's what I think they should do. Is I think you come in. I think you probably want to also invest. If you're going to go in all on the Spanish thing, I would also bring an academy team over. So I'd probably bring over 6-7 Spanish players. Vickle, and then probably try and find a couple of NA players. You do kind of somewhere the ultra thing with sort of 8, and then you basically assume the first year that you're going to probably be like maybe make champs. But the goal of year 1 is to figure out between all of this external Spanish talent and Vickle, which of those players can really compete at this level, and then you plus up. Either either it's good enough that you roll with the full Spanish squad and you roll that year 2, or you're going to pivot to more of a mixed team. So I'm curious to see what they do, but that's kind of what I would do in their situation as a 2-year project.
I don't know, Ben. I guess there would be more information in this kind of what this merger means, but I would expect that if Heretics is leading the charge here and they're purchasing whatever agreement they come to, that I expect them to kind of just lead the charge in this roster. So I wouldn't expect to see a full Spanish squad starting next year with not retaining any of these current players.
You say you do expect the full Spanish squad.
That's what I expect. Yeah,
I think it's what most people
they keep
expect.
Vickle. I don't see why they wouldn't keep Vickle.
Oh yeah.
Well, Vickle speaks the language, right?
I included him in that.
Yeah, I would keep Vickle. I think. Listen, I don't mind them going all in on a full Spanish team, but obviously a lot of those players haven't really lived in North America. Obviously, they're bringing over someone like Juan Journey. Like Journey's been over here. I think Metals has been over here a decent amount of time in past years. So some of the players, but if you're bringing over like a Super or someone else, like that's a new experience. So it's going to take a second. Some of those players to adapt, and some of them are going to figure it out, and some of them are not. But I think it's worth the strategy. I was talking about it earlier in my chat, and people are just assuming they're going to be like the worst team in the league, and it's like, well, I don't know about that.
Well, they got some competition there, Ben.
Some of these Spanish players have been doing pretty good in challengers, like.
Yeah, I don't. How can I say they're the worst team in the league, bro? Back in the day, I always felt like the European teams or the Spanish teams, right? They were like the unreadable teams. Like you never knew what you were gonna get out of them. Like they used to get some upsets and used to do some crazy shit. Like they were a really talented roster, Heretics, back in the day. Like they were definitely a team, Ben, that people were playing against them, knowing that we got to focus up. Like, these guys are good. They're twisted. Well, Tom,
didn't they beat you guys? If I remember correctly, didn't you guys?
I'm sure we've lost to them here or there.
You lost them in the league in Black Ops 4. Like I think a lot of people slept on them that year, and like they were pretty good. I don't remember if they finished over 500 or not. But like I remember there being like top 6, top 8 at a lot of events in that season. I know the like event format was a little funky, but like I don't think they were bad. That's why I think everybody's just assuming the Spanish team's gonna come in like the 12th best team.
Like, why'd you bring up that scenario, Ben? Why'd you say they beat me? They didn't beat anybody else. It was just me.
Well, they beat I'm sure they beat a lot of good
teams. What are you busting my balls? What are you busting my balls, Ben?
Bro, no way you're losing full about this.
No, I'm fucking around. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you, Ben. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while, Ben. I'm happy. We're doing a flake, man. You know, I'm happy, bro. Go ahead, Ben. Keep going.
But to my point, look, I think you have a number of Spanish players. Look at the Team Notorious team, right? That's a mixed team with Spanish players. They just won the OpTic LAN a while back. They were played really good in the Elite Stage online. We'll see if they can go back to back to Toronto Open in a few weeks. Like Spanish players are playing good at the challengers level. Avi's been around obviously on the pro side. I know Mutineers has been whatever this season. I think the talent's out there in Spanish. Just a question of like with a full off season, just adjusting the pressure. Can they cover it or not? And see what happens.
Ready for a crazy stat?
Yeah. Hit us with it.
If this transaction goes through and happens by the start of next year, there still won't be a single year in CDL where we had back-to-back of the same 12 teams.
Yeah, that's actually crazy.
Different new teams every year because you had Hunt. Yeah, that's true because you had OpTic.
Yeah,
that's crazy. The LAT, Empire to OpTic, the Huntsman trade, and the Paris to Las Vegas. Like we've never had the same 12.
And obviously the Boston shit too.
And the Boston, yeah.
But I think, look, I think to kind of to go to this next conversation, it's like, well, what does this mean for the league going forward, right? So obviously Heretics come in, they're going to bring in a lot of Spanish viewership, so that's going to be really nice. There's obviously 2 more org situations that I think we need to wait on this summer. One is London going to rebrand? There were rumors about that when KOI, which is another Spanish org, bought them in the offseason. I think eBuy or someone else at the org did an interview and said like they try to rebrand. And I don't know if the timing, they passed the deadline or whatever. Like that didn't work out. So we'll see if they actually do move that team. And then there's the LAG question. A lot of people have been speculating who might pick them up. I've heard an org or 2 named. I don't quite believe it.
Wait, you've heard a couple names? Who?
What names?
The name that I've heard, and I want to preface by saying that I've heard it from like player agents and like challengers players. So
yeah, no worries. It's not.
Please take this from like a super grand salt. Like I haven't heard this from a league source or an ownership source. Is that Team Falcons is very interested in the LAG spot, but I would find that hard to believe because I would be surprised if that's kind of a non-starter for Activision due to the politics of their current merger with Microsoft and just the difficulty of bringing in the Saudi Arabian team.
Sorry. Okay, I had no idea who Team Falcon was.
They got money over there. They got money.
But again, I've
Hey,
heard this
Tom,
rumor-
what they got money. Hey, listen, 3 mil over 3 is cheap.
Yeah,
But-
nah,
but-
Slay, that's
but let
nothing for them
me-
over there. It's nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me preface this by saying, like, I haven't confirmed that they've had a meeting with Activision. Just that there's interest. Like, that can mean anything, you know?
They're building,
listen.
fucking PSG
Yeah.
over there.
Listen, Ben, if there's interest and they're watching the show right now, I'm a simple phone call away. I always answer.
They got Luti already, so you're gonna have to kind of out-jockey him there.
Yeah, he's like, they give me a little offer as well. We'll take a look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can help them out.
You know what I'm
Ain't
saying?
no problem at all.
You know, we'll see what's going on. But Ben, you said there was a couple teams. What else? Or who else?
I mean, I've just heard that your occasional challengers orgs are interested, but like again,
Okay.
I haven't heard anything of like so and so team has met with the league, and that's the kind of difficulty of the LEG situation. Don't really know. I would expect that we also don't know if they can't sell a spot, like how much of what kind of team is LEG like forced to form. We don't know what the franchise agreement is. That one I think is like a super unclear situation on what would happen. Like, I don't think we're going to get like what's going on with the Overwatch situation right now. Some of the Chinese teams where they're literally playing with one last team in the league. Well, they figure out the future of that. I think they would have to fill something. So
They're doing what in Overwatch?
there's Overwatch got more particular problems with the game not being available in China, and it's a little bit of a mess. Let's just leave it at that. But
Interesting.
I'm very curious how to see the LG spot. Those are like the three org situations I think that we can see some changes going forward in the CDL this season. Obviously, Florida, we got clarity on, the other two not.
Bro, what would happen if a team comes in, right? Like you said, like Team Falcons or Saudi Arabian team, they just have crazy amount of money and they just start dropping absolute bags to some of the top players. You think it'll switch up? You think shit would hit the fan? So you know these players would take the contract.
The interesting thing is like we've talked about this with say like
It reminds me of Ben.
like,
Sorry to cut you off, but it reminds me
Yeah.
of the time in World War II when the cod burner was coming in, or that random guy was coming in, walking around offering everybody like $20K a month, and everybody was like tweaking. Like, yo, at the time, people were making like what, $5 to $7K a month. So
Wait,
he was.
did you just address Ben and then say, Ben, when you were coming around?
What? No. Ben,
You said, Ben, do you remember when the cob burner was, Ben was the cob burner, Tom?
Bro, no. I think we all know who the cod burner was. I think it's
bro,
kind of exposed.
I was not the cob burner, and also let's not talk about the fact that Pat got you in trouble during the cob burner saga.
Yes,
but
Pat, you got me banned on Twitch for 2 weeks, Pat.
Pat got you in trouble for that.
But Tom, you went global. You went global.
Yeah,
when you were
kinda.
banned.
I got banned, so I wasn't exactly
you
going
were,
global.
Tom, you were on the radar from there.
I
but-
guess
They knew
so.
not to fuck with you no more.
But I think Vickle made a good point in the chat, right? First off, if Falcons comes in, I think they're going to give like King of Body, Xnid, like all of their players that have currently been playing a lot in Europe, in the elite, probably a chance. Would they toss out bags and what people think about it? I think they would, but the trade-off always with some of these top players is like, do you want to go to a situation where you're on a team that maybe doesn't win as much, but you're making a lot of salary, but you're unhappy because you're not winning? Or Atlanta FaZe, OpTic, LA Thieves, where you know your team's gonna be top 3, top 4. Maybe you're making 10% less, but you're making decent prize money. You're winning. Is that more important? And you're still making cash. Like, yeah, that calculus is gonna be really important for.
I'm
players.
catching a red eye to Dubai tonight, Ben.
You're flying Emirates first class, fucking.
Oh,
Emirates
absolutely.
first class. Jesus Christ.
Q Suite, fucking.
Have you ever been to Dubai? Anybody in the chat? Anybody watching ever been to Dubai? I mean, I heard Dubai is an insane place, bro. I heard it's crazy. I heard it's super safe, super clean, super high tech. I've never been. I really want to go. I really want to go check it out.
Never
But
been.
we might need to take a flank trip over there to Dubai. Might need to take a little flank
Isn't
trip.
there like the biggest esports event of all time happening in June or July in
Well, they
Dubai?
have what is it, Gamers 8, whatever. it's
Yeah,
called.
isn't it like $50 million in prize money up for grabs
Well,
or something
this has
like
been
that?
a big piece of, again, not to get too much into politics, but like this has been a big thing on the Saudi Arabian side, right? They have a long-term vision for what they want to do with their economy. This is why like they've been putting a lot of money in the esports. This is why they got involved with ESL. This is why, even not related to esports, is why Live Golf exists, right? They're trying to modify their image away from issues that are happening internally in their country via sports and esports. So
That's interesting.
obviously it's been a big political issue now for a year or two, mostly on the sports side, right? Live Golf launched last year, but now on the esports side, it's becoming sort of a more commonplace. I think the first edition was last summer, I think.
I have no idea. I just saw it recently.
Well,
Yeah, I
I was gonna say, talking about obviously some of the merges and stuff, and obviously the LAG spot and this and that. Any room for expansion? Probably not, huh? I'm guessing no.
No, I think what I'm curious
No
is
way.
So obviously the Activision Microsoft thing sort of hangs over all this, right? What happens with that merger? Seems like it's not going to likely happen in June with the FTC lawsuit, with the European regulators kind of asking a lot of questions. So that's now still kind of an open question. I think what might be a good model long term for the CDL is what Riot's doing with Valorant, which is, okay, you have these partner teams, but you have 4 spots, 2 spots, whatever available each year that teams can qualify into, and you have an aspirational path for orgs to get in the mix. And yeah, you're going to still have to play well to lock that spot down, but there's an opportunity to get in. I think that might be a really good path forward, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening with some of these merging rumors and some of these spots and teams trying to sell. I mean, I'm certain the offseason there's going to be a lot of movement, both with the franchises and with the players. But speaking of players, speaking of roster changes, let's hop into the next thing to talk about, and that's the Boston Breach. Making a roster change, heading into the Major 5 qualifiers. They're actually bringing Vivid back into the roster, but it's Nero who's going to the bench. I want to get your guys' initial thoughts on it. I'll give my initial thoughts. I don't think it fixes their problem. I don't. I think the biggest problem with Boston right now is that they're so talent heavy, and that they have 3 players, in my opinion, that are just so slay heavy. They're just roam slayers. And I just feel like sometimes they just need, I don't think it's the right group of players. I think Boston can maybe figure it out, and I think they can maybe get these guys to the right spot because at least they have the talent. But when it comes to Big Wig, Beans, and Cramp, I just feel like they're all roaming slayers. Like they're not really like that headbutter, like that fast aggression, like in your face, like baiting type player. Like they play their lives a lot. They roam and get kills a lot. And I feel like sometimes they don't go the right ways on the map. I'm just going to be honest. I just don't think they play the game the right way. I feel like sometimes they're just kind of all over the place and they focus too much on playing their lives and getting kills. And I felt like Nero Poison was a good player for them. I thought he added a lot of pace to them. He was a big impact player for them. I don't know. Like they got rid of Vivid and I didn't like it. Now they got rid of Nero. I feel like having Vivid and Nero is almost a good play. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this?
Personally, I think this is as lateral of a move as you can do. I think Vivid and Nero are like the same person. Like you know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They basically do the exact same thing. They have the very similar style. So yeah, it's a super lateral. I agree with you. I think the problem lies in the 3 on the right of this screen. And to your point, and I said this on, I think I said it here as well, but I said on the reverse sweep, I think they need to bring in Doug. I basically was my theory behind this is like you're in this position where you're basically guaranteed for champs, right? Like barring an absolute, miracle from another team, you're set for champs. And so, yes, there is seeding on the line, but like how big of a difference is seeding when like our top 4 is basically all the same skill level, right? Like we kind of agree that top 4 is very even. They're our top dogs in the game right now. So 5 through 8 seeding, in my opinion, doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And I don't see this Boston team with any roster jumping into the top 4 seeding anyway. So they have these next 5 matches, right, in the qualifiers. I would like to see them trying a little roster shuffle, Tom.
Get Doug in here.
I said this. This team to me has no life, Tom. You know what I mean? They have no life. They don't have the personality. They don't have that in-game just like vibey. I don't see them like getting hyped up. I don't see him when shit goes wrong. I don't see
Beans
anybody
be screaming. That's it.
But he'd be screaming. But I'm saying like if this team gets down in a hole or loses a close map, I don't see anyone on this team like fixing that. Like getting everyone back on track.
I agree with that.
Bring in Doug. I think Doug would bring some life to this team.
Some passion.
Yeah, just like get everybody going again. And so I think, given their spot, they're basically locked 5 through 8. I think you bring in Doug for a match, maybe 2 matches, see how it goes. What's it really going to hurt? Because in my opinion, I think this team has enough talent, like talking about everyone they have signed on their org. Just try. Do a little trial run through this Major 5 online qualifier. You're in a good spot. And let's see what Doug can do.
I mean, Ben, I saw you lean back in your chair when Pat said that. I mean, where's your head about all this? You agree with that? Bring in Doug?
I think their problem right now, because I'll answer your question in a sec. Their problem right now is I really like Kremp. I think the Reese for Nero swap is pretty lateral. They need a little bit more from their ARs and respawn. I just think that at times their ARs just don't play the objective well, don't make their kills matter. And while their subs are pushing out, they're just not effective in respawn. As much as I see what Pat you're saying with Doug, I just like, yeah, you could try it online, but are they gonna have the balls to try it on LAN? I don't really see it. And
Depends how it goes, though, right? Like,
it's gonna be a big adjustment. I mean, what are you gonna have Doug come and play an AR? Or are you having Doug run?
Yeah. I'm bringing Doug in for Beans, and I'll be honest with you too, Ben, and you're gonna love this. I actually wouldn't hate them trying a multi-roster over multi-game modes. So
yeah, I was about to say, is that what you're thinking? Like when they go to LAN, you use Ben for everything but hardpoint and bring in Doug for hardpoint?
Nah, Slay,
I'm
way.
down. Listen, not for champs, Tom.
Nah.
Not for champs. And maybe, Tom, this is even an online thing, not just for LAN, just online. Like, I feel like they have some roster capability here. I want to see them sub in some of these challenger players on their roster, and just see what works in what game mode. Like I said, Tom, it's Major 5. They're not going to the major and winning. Let's just be realistic here. They're not falling out of the 5 through 8 seed. In my opinion, they should be all eyes focused on champs and getting the best Boston Breach squad that they can. I mean, and also, it looks like they lost their check mark. How do I even know this is the real Boston Breach?
Right, well, Elon's website aside, I mean,
I lost mine too.
I will say, like, you know, it's a Doug thing. Like, yeah, he's gonna play the OBJ. I question, though, as always with Doug, that can he slay at the level required at the CDL end? I don't know if that's.
But Ben,
likely.
we talked about this. Is that what Boston needs? I think the last thing Boston needs is more kills.
Yeah, but like, is Doug going double
Doug
negative going to help them beat FaZe, LA Thieves, and OpTic though?
Well, that's just not happening regardless, Ben. We kind of already talked about this.
So are we solving that? But you're not then solving the like.
There is no solve.
Top 4 problem.
No, you can't. The problem to solve is, can they get 5th?
They get 5th now with this team.
Nah, I don't know about that. They just got what, 12th?
Yeah, they had a bad stage. You're not wrong, but like, can they get 5th with this team? Absolutely.
Can they get 5th with Doug? Absolutely.
I mean,
I don't know.
I still think these guys have, like I was saying, bro, just like 3 roaming slayers. Like, I don't know, just on paper, like they're a talented roster. But I agree. Just like maybe like leadership or like getting these guys on the right page. Like, I just feel like these are just, you know what it is? I feel like this is just a bunch of individuals, a bunch of talented individuals. And I feel like these guys need to be more of a team. They need more of a culture. So, Pat, if that's kind of what you meant by like passion,
absolutely what I meant. Yeah,
like that's I agree with you. I agree with you every step of the way.
This is one of the youngest teams. Just think about this team, bro. Compared to LA Thieves roster or FaZe or OpTic. Just think about the lack of experience on this team compared to those other squads. Like they are a super young
but they've
team.
been Big Wake has been playing, Vivid has been playing, Kremp is new, Beans is fairly new, right?
But look at the top 3 teams in the league right now. How much experience is on those teams? Is way more. I think you just gotta listen. Like I think the Boston framing is us. I think you gotta ride this roster plus minus Vivid Nero at the end of the season, and I think you punt any big changes until the off season. You just gotta accept that like the team's gotta figure out how to play a little bit more disciplined, a little more tight and hard point before they push out. I think
they've been doing that all year.
I know, but they like their biggest issue. They just don't make kills matter in hard point. Like I think their S&D is fine. I think their hard point. Like I watch them play hard point, and they are like so concerned about pushing out. They just don't get hill time. They leave the hill white.
They love kills, bro. And listen,
but so does LA. LA Thieves is a great example of how you can play for kills but still be disciplined on hard point. They're really good about playing tight and then pushing out and being really fucking annoying. Like you can still play that way. They just got to figure out how to find discipline. I just don't think Doug is really going to solve that. And I think you just got to accept that you got to work towards that. And if you can't, you're going to make changes in the offseason.
We'll
is what
see.
it is.
We'll see how they do. I do want to give Nero credit. Nero goes to the bench. First thing he does, he hops onto a challengers team and he turns the stream on. It's the first thing he does. He's been streaming all the time. He's been streaming scrims. He's been streaming the tournaments, and he hopped right back into challenges. How many times do we see players go to the bench and they're too cool for challengers, or they're too cool to put themselves out there?
None. But how often is the person getting benched like the youngest player on the team? Like when we think about who's really getting benched nowadays, it's kind of like more of the older people that have been around a while, not necessarily like the new young guns. And so like,
and Paul got benched a couple of times on London. Like,
yeah, I mean, Paul's been around the block though. He was on New York,
Neptune, like on LAG, like.
but they were still on the they got put right into the academy team, like.
The Florida team.
That's also what's interesting is Nero joined a different academy team instead of joining the academy team of Boston.
Yeah, that is weird.
That was
I thought that was a little weird too.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me. I didn't get that.
And I see a lot of people talking about Illy, and I'm gonna be honest. I feel like Illy's kind of hurting himself a little bit. I love Inder, bro. I would love to see Inder get back in there. I think he's a good player, but I definitely think he's hurting himself right now, man. We haven't heard from Inder. I don't even know if he's trying to get back in there. I mean, he hasn't played any challengers. He hasn't had the stream up at all. He's been super quiet on social. I mean, what is Inder's plan at the end of the year? Is he going to look to just sneak onto a team? Does he have something in his back pocket, something that maybe we don't know about? I mean, do you think this is a good play from Inder to just go ghost?
Is he like still signed anywhere?
I don't know.
So I've tried to dive in on this. It's a very weird situation. As far as I know, he's still attached to OpTic, but he hasn't been at either of the events, the last two events. He wasn't in the OpTic event. And he wasn't at Columbus. So he's not the sub, because if you're the sub, you have to be at the event, right? You go through IT checks.
Yeah.
Like all the shit, right? So like, I don't know what his situation is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, neither do I. That's why it's hard. It's hard to. People are saying Scump is still the sub for these guys, which would be fucking insane if. Obviously, we would never want to wish anything to happen to anybody. But if Scump did come in, that would be crazy.
I would say for a 100% fact that he is not the sub. There's
Meaning
been two different.
Inder or Scump?
It's been coaches the last two events. I know that for a 100% fact.
Okay, so it's probably Rambo.
Been either Ray or JP the last two events.
I mean, I would sure hope it's not fucking JP, bro. They gotta throw JP in there or something happens. That'd be fucking
Tom,
insane,
you were in Columbus. Like, who was there from OpTic?
Scump was there.
Yeah, Scump was there.
I'm telling you. As far as I know, I didn't see Seth go on the stage and do IT checks. So,
no, I mean, I really don't. I have no idea. I literally have no idea. No idea who their sub is. But yeah, obviously Vivid comes back into the roster. I think Vivid's a good player. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Boston Breach moving forward and see if they can make some noise going into the Major 5 qualifiers. Obviously, we got matches coming up soon, so it's going to be a good one. But guys, let's hop into the tier list. Obviously, we just got done with the Major 4. Definitely going to shake things up a little bit. LA Thieves, they come out victorious. I definitely think our tier list is going to look a little bit different than last time. At least in my mind, it's a little bit different. I don't know if I can't really speak for Ben and Pat, but
well, Tom, let's make it easy. Move Atlanta and Thieves to the end with OpTic and Ultra.
Well, hold on. We can make this even more simple. Like, pretty much the debate in the community has been, is it like Thieves, OpTic S, and FaZe A? Do you agree with that, Pat?
Thieves, OpTic S, FaZe A?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that, no.
FaZe and everybody else? Okay.
I mean, I would probably have FaZe and A simply for the fact that their respawns, like, they're just really struggling. When you look at their respawn records compared to LA Thieves and OpTic, I definitely feel like it's not on par, at least in my opinion.
I see. Here's the problem, because we're in a matchup thing, right? Like, here's my issue. I would still say that Ultra and Thieves are better than OpTic. I would say that OpTic is better than FaZe, and I mean,
what, you think Ultra?
Yeah. Did you not watch the event in Texas at the Texas home major?
But the way that Toronto's playing right now, I mean, here's my problem, Pat, is like FaZe lost to.
I just think we have a matchup issue.
FaZe can't beat at least last major. If we're talking short term, like FaZe didn't beat Thieves or OpTic, so I feel like
that's what I'm saying.
I feel like
better
right
than Ultra.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like the way the field is, is it's OpTic and Thieves, then FaZe, then everybody else.
That's where I was thinking too, Ben.
I think that seems pretty clear.
My field is pretty simple, Ben. It's Thieves and S, and then A is OpTic, FaZe, Ultra in order.
What do you think, Tom?
How can we?
I don't really think that's that big of a difference.
Give S tier to a team that's getting second? Listen,
Yeah,
they're getting beat by everybody. Why am I putting them in the front?
They're beating everybody else, but like Thieves. Like I don't. They
Drink
beat
the
Thieves,
schedule.
They beat Thieves online during the split, so like.
I don't think it's that big of a difference whether you have OpTic second in the S or first in the A. I feel like it's kind of almost, you know what I mean?
I agree, but everybody's gonna lose full on Reddit, so whatever.
I think this is right.
He's gonna lose full on Reddit.
I don't think we can do anything about that, bro. But it is what it is. Like, I mean, in terms of the order of the teams, though, Pat. Like,
OpTic hasn't won a chip yet this year. They haven't won a chip yet.
Yeah,
so,
and the other team are all winners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't mind. I don't mind this. I feel like these are godlike, bro. Those guys are different. They're disciplined, their fundamentals, their communication, knowing when to play fast, knowing when to play slow, their teamwork. Those guys, and then on top of that, their talent.
Every mode. They're also good at every single mode. Like they're a threat in every single mode.
Yeah,
like they don't have a weakness in a game mode.
Personally, for me, I want it to be known on the record that I think OpTic's an S tier, even though they haven't won an event yet. But I'm gonna lose this battle 1v2, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I would rather, because OpTic doesn't have a chip, I kind of like them at the top of A. They're right there though. You know, they're right there in my opinion.
I mean, we put FaZe in like S tier all season last year, and they didn't win anything. But like, whatever. Like, it is what
yeah,
it is.
but their average placing is like insane.
Yeah, they got second every event, and they basically beat every team, and then would just choke in the finals against a bunch of different teams. And Thieves hit final form.
Which I think is a fair assessment of an OpTic. They didn't beat OpTic until the end of the year last year, but OpTic obviously had their own issues as to why they didn't get to the end of tournaments after Major 1.
OpTic was losing like Florida and shit. Like that ain't happening to that Atlanta team last year. Come on.
So you think so you Ben, you think this looks better? You think if we had OpTic in S tier with LA Thieves and then FaZe Ultra in A tier, you think that looks better?
No, I would put Toronto in B, but like
B?
To me, like, yeah, I think it's FaZe.
Bro, they would have got fourth last event if they played Rokkr or whoever, or New York or whatever. Like,
yeah, but they weren't being FaZe the way their fucking search was playing. They weren't being FaZe or OpTic.
I agree, but I think they're still an A tier team because they're ahead of everyone else below them. They're not ahead of FaZe, but they're ahead of everyone else below them.
I don't think like
they just won the last major. Come on now.
They won the major before the last major.
Well, that's what I meant. The last major. Like,
I mean, here's my thing about Toronto. We talked about this a lot on stream during the watch party when we were watching them play. Like, if you take search out, like they were particularly pretty good on hard points still again last split. They were 10-4. As the control fell off a little because they had a couple of like bad losses on a CeeLo, but they were pretty still good on a hotel. Nobody's gonna fuck with them on that map. And they were actually really good at Expo. So like, you just get. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to beat this team in control. But they were 3-9 in search, which is just a massive regression. A lot of game 5 losses. I just don't know what to think of this Toronto team. I would say this, Pat, and like I think they're in B, but if you subscribe to like they're about to get the hometown buff this major because they're about to go home and they're going to get a good placing again from the Toronto crowd. Like if you want to subscribe to that theory,
I mean,
like,
dude,
I kind of do.
I think they looked. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I think they looked pretty good on LAN this minute. They started in losers 1. They got top 6, but they faced FaZe right to lose. If they had the other side of the bracket, I think they get top 4. Like I just don't see a world where they're in the B tier because I think they're above everybody in B and down.
Well, so I was talking on my stream about this, which is like if you think about the league right now, I feel really good about Thieves, FaZe, OpTic making.
You see what Chris said?
Pretty much. What did Chris say?
As Chris, I said OpTic S tier or A tier. What are you thinking? He said S tier. 4, 2, and 2. 2 really good stages. That's what he said. He said OpTic S tier.
I agree with
Chris. Yeah, but Chris is on the hunt for prime subs. We can't take that at full value.
You think he's bullshitting for the green wall? You think he's bullshitting?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I agree.
On Twitch.
I agree that OpTic is number 2. I agree. That they're definitely, especially when it comes to FaZe in the head-to-head, OpTic's definitely above FaZe. Like they're obviously either top of A or bottom of S. I was just on the more the lines. I just thought LA Thieves I just think those guys are different. I just think those guys are really good. But I will agree with 2 back-to-back second place finishes. Like OpTic is up there. I mean, I really feel like this is a pretty hard decision. I'm surprised a lot of people.
They're the best team in A, huh?
Yeah, they're the best team in A, or they're the, I guess, worst team in quotes in S. But I mean, top two. They're definitely top two for sure right now. It's just a matter of whether or not to put them in the S tier or the top of the A tier. That's the argument right now. So I think we'll keep them there for now. Ultra and B, I would probably put Ultra at the bottom of A. I don't think I would put Ultra and B. I think I'd have it how Pat had it.
Where it's about to go is like, okay, so Thieves, OpTic, FaZe. I feel pretty good that's your top three. Outside of that, you got like New York, Seattle, Toronto, Boston, Rokkr. Toronto's the team I trust them more out of that group. So like Toronto being the next team up, I subscribe to that theory because I think if they just like your point, Pat, they played bad enough, end up on the top side of that bracket because they were losers, and yeah, they were on the bottom, probably beating Seattle. I don't know if they would have beaten New York, but they're still good. And I think if they get better at search, they're still gonna be good at control. Like this Toronto team's dangerous.
Here's my fear is like I guess my question is like was this event like the event that we kind of saw them get figured out in Hardpoint?
Who?
OpTic. Like they were rolling for a while. They rolled online. They started rolling at the start of the event, but I think we kind of saw it like. I mean, we've seen this with teams before, right? Where they just have like this streak and then they kind of get figured out in a mode.
They lost hardpoint maps. I mean, like the way series are generally going to go in the CDL against good teams is like people are going to win their map picks in hardpoint and search, and that's why control is so important. Like, it's the swing mode. So yeah, eventually the fucking winning streak was going to end, just like FaZe's S&D winning streak was going to end. But like OpTic still got bread and butter hardpoints. Like the one hardpoint that they're going to whip out in the series between like a Mercado or a Fortress is probably an automatic dub for them. Like I mean, yeah, they were going to lose them eventually, but I don't think that's the issue.
But just those two maps, right?
Yeah, but the issue for OpTic is more so. I talked about this earlier.
OpTic's Hydro is ass.
Well, Hydro is questionable in a matchup against Thieves, and it was a questionable in a matchup against Toronto, so that's been a problem.
I'm saying.
Asilo, honestly, Asilo S&D end up in the series, and Thieves put a lot of work into that and beat them on that map, and then Asilo control for OpTic. You know, Chris has talked about a lot on stream that he thinks that the Asilo control is kind of strategy for OpTic's a little sketchy, and they lost it. The back-to-back Asilo cheese came into play in the grand final, and that was the difference between Thieves winning and OpTic forcing in Game 7.
You think the control was like a big factor for them, Ben?
I mean, Asilo control, yeah. Like, I think so. I think for this OpTic team, they got pretty good at Expo. Like, I tipped that. Hotel, they've had some good hotel wins. They've had some whatevers, but Asilo's kind of the last hurdle. You need to be good at all three control maps, especially when you get to the end of these series. If you're not in winners and you don't get to take one of them out, you're going to end up playing your bad control map in that series. It ends up being the way it's worked out, the sixth map. Look how it worked out for Thieves. They were asked to Asilo control and ended up against FaZe. Ended up being the difference in that series. And then look what happened in the grand final against Toronto.
Yeah, well, I think we can all agree that this is definitely the top four, right, in this order: Thieves, OpTic, FaZe, Ultra. I mean, this is where I would have my top four. I think there's some disagreements on where to put OpTic, but with two back-to-back second places, Ben and Chris voted S. Me and Pat had OpTic in the top of A, and in the poll in the chat voted S as well. I mean, I'm down to keep them the second of S right now. It doesn't, to me, I didn't really think this was this much of a difference. Having them at the top of A or bottom of C.
I just think
bottom of S.
My opinion, Tom, here is we need to set a kind of like a mandate going forward that S tier can only have one team, and it's always going to be the winners. I think that would please everybody. What
if like two teams bowed to like a Game 7, like round 11 grand final, like comes down to like one kill type?
And the team that lost is in A, and the team that won is in S.
It's just like so fucking arbitrary.
Ben, I have a great example for you. Farico and Envy at Black Ops 2. Yes, they went Game 5, round 11 or round 10, whatever. But Farico was clearly S tier, and Envy was clearly A tier. Like sometimes it just happens like that.
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, Slay.
Yeah, well, you just put your okay. But I mean, I see what you're saying. I just feel like
if I didn't have Too Quick, I would be the tier above S. I don't know what that is.
S plus, but I just feel like we shouldn't assign an arbitrary. Like we always need one team in S. I just feel like we're gonna fuck ourselves down the line.
No, I don't think we're gonna fuck ourselves.
Like that's just some random rule that we're just making up.
Nah, because top of A will always be the runner-up, man.
I don't know, because we're gonna like the way this league is playing out. We've had a different team win every event. Like,
listen, Ben. Here's my problem, and I'll give it to you straight.
Yeah.
Last year when we did this for FaZe, everyone had a problem with it. Everybody, Ben. Talking about Reddit, YouTube comments, Twitch chat, Twitter. No matter who you were, you had a problem with it when we did it for FaZe. But yet now when we're saying, hey, let's stop doing that, it's a problem. So they had
Pat, if I understand it correctly, are you saying there's an OpTic fan fugazi going on here?
I think so, Ben, because listen, when we did this for FaZe, it was a problem across the board. But now we're doing it for OpTic, and it's okay. Everyone's like, yeah, nah, OpTic's S, put him in S. What are you talking about? You made such a issue last year when we did this for FaZe, and you didn't want this, and we're trying to stop it, so you need to be straight about it. OpTic is the top A-tier team.
I mean, bro, I still think OpTic is S tier, but you do you, bro.
I mean, listen, I'm down to keep it like this for now. Let's go through the rest of the teams.
I'm just trying to give the
quick.
community what they want, Ben. They wanted one S-tier team, and they wanted the second place team to be an A. They've wanted it for years. I'm finally trying to give it to them.
They don't want it. They don't want it. They voted
That's
for
what I'm
OpTic
saying.
S.
That's what I'm saying. So Ben, by them wanting to keep OpTic in S, they're admitting that FaZe was S all year in Vanguard. That's what they're doing. They're admitting that FaZe was better than OpTic all year in Vanguard, and that FaZe was an S tier team all year long. So I appreciate OpTic finally coming around to that.
All right, well, let's keep it like this for now. I don't mind it like this. I really don't. So we'll keep it like this. I think this looks pretty good. And I put London in D. If you guys are okay with that, I just put them at the. I just put them down.
London in D. Put LAG in D too. Do you agree with that, Pat?
Yeah, I'm down to put LAG in D as well. I'll put them over London. But we'll put them there. The B tier. I like Ultra in A. Ben, you wanted to put them in B. I kind of want to keep them in A if that's okay with you.
I would love it to be like, because we can't put everybody. I love there's like a B plus. I think because I think Toronto's ahead of like the Seattle, New York whole group into teams, but I'm not.
Yeah, I don't want to add.
I'm not gonna
things.
like put myself on the cross, so to speak, about like Toronto being an A, because I think Toronto's good. Had a bad S&D stage. They get better in search. They're gonna be back to being top fours.
All right, let's go to the next one. Boston Breach. Where will you have Boston Breach? B tier.
Weird, because I don't
Probably
know
right in the middle, right?
Look like.
I mean, now it's a little bit different because they have a roster change, but I mean, like you said, Pat, I felt like the move was kind of lateral.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But that's the problem is they just got last. So like, if it's a lateral move from last, then like, are they really B? Yeah, like
I mean, we didn't dock Thieves too much for getting last as well. So like, I think Boston's comfortably.
Wait, Thieves got last? I thought they got 8th.
Didn't they get last in Major 3?
Major 1, they got 8. Major 3.
Didn't they got last in the event, right, chat? It was like Major 3.
My cook, Thieves got last?
They got last for top 8. Am I fading? I feel like they had like a really.
But there's no way they got last. Last is crazy.
They got 8th. They got 8th. They got top 8.
They got 8th. My bad. I forgot about the Rokkr series. I mean, I don't think we should put I think Boston's way better than C, because you're gonna end up putting like, is Boston better than like Minnesota and Vegas? And like, I could argue. Probably.
Yeah, that's true. I think Minnesota and Vegas will probably be in that C spot. I think
Boston is probably bottom of B. Like, they're comfortably a top 18. But to your point, Pat, like, it's like aspiration that we had of like, eventually we're going to see like this Boston project really come to fruition and then like make it deep on a Sunday. I just don't see it right now. I think there's a couple better teams in front of them.
Who would you have over New York or Seattle? Who would you have over who when it comes to New York and Seattle? Who's above who? Because they're definitely going to be slotted into the B tier. I think both New York and Seattle should be in B tier.
I have New York.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I have New York.
I got New York, yeah.
I feel like it really comes down to both these teams about S&D. Like,
yeah, they both have consistency problems for sure.
Seattle solved some of their search issues, but like, I feel like it definitely hurt them when they pulled up to the major. They had that tough like game 5 grind out they had against LAG. The search kind of really hurt them against FaZe in the match before, and then Rokkr overswept them and won the game 5. So I feel like the S&D killed them. Then New York is like, I think New York really should have beat FaZe. They fucking tossed that.
Yeah, they should have.
Like the Tyler Obizi 1v4 was insane. The 1v3 that they also gave up to him in that fucking match was ridiculous. And then in the last game, they had like first blood in them. Large majority of the rounds against FaZe, and FaZe won them like 3v4. Yeah. Unacceptable.
And New York, they've always had a problem with their bloods. They've always had a problem with their bloods in S&D. They go too rogue. They make too many solo plays. They rely on people to just do something crazy. Where if they can clean it up, it'll help them a lot.
Weirdly enough, I looked into it. They weren't that bad at it for most of the season. What's been more of a problem is just getting the first blood. They weren't tossing a lot of 4v3s. I don't know what happened this stage, but they've been making some boneheaded decisions, especially at the major in those rounds, and you can't give people free rounds 3v4 at this level. Like you're gonna lose.
Yeah, I like it like this. I agree with you, Ben. I thought New York should have beat FaZe. I said that to the FaZe guys. Like, man, New York should have beat y'all, man. Like, bro, I said it as like you guys had the talent where you're bailing yourselves out by just doing crazy shit. You know what I mean? You gotta have.
That's what Chris said on my scrap time episode we did after the major.
Yeah, they bailed themselves out because they're a very talented team. They got very good players, but. Bro, when they get to these top, like OpTic and Thieves and Ultra, like these top echelon teams, like they're not going to be able to just bail themselves out all the time. Like they're going to have to make sure that they're playing as a unit, playing as one. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Beezy definitely saved them. Definitely saved them in that series. I'll go with New York over Seattle. I still think New York and Seattle are right there with each other, though. They both have some inconsistencies. Both teams kind of remind me of each other, right? You got like Hydra, the superstar sub for New York. You got Pred, who's the superstar sub for Seattle. And then as the roster goes down, especially with the ARs, right, you see like some inconsistency problems, like some just kind of some ups and downs, right? So I feel like everything just revolves around their superstar subs on both of these teams. You never really know what you're going to get. I know a lot of people are coming at Mac's neck too. Bro, I really do feel like Mac is being thrown into like an objective minded play style. Like when I played with Mac, I told him, listen, bro, I'm following you, bro. Just chow everything and kill whore and get kills. Like, work your tax and get some kills.
Yeah,
like,
but but that aside,
now
like,
I feel like he's more of just like a fill in the gaps, hopping bombs, hopping hills. Like he's getting thrown into the fucking wool. He's getting thrown into the dumps. He's just playing a way different role. He's just playing such an unselfish role right now. I do agree that Mac needs to try and find some of his confidence though. I feel like he's definitely lost a little bit of his confidence.
The hotel surge play was egregious, and then the round after he threw away his life
because it's a confidence thing. It's a confidence thing. You know, and I see people in the chat, oh, he sucks, come on, this and that. Bro, I'm not saying Mac has been playing insane. I understand that he's not been playing good, but I don't think Mac's a bad player. I think he's been getting put into a lot of just shitty situations, especially with the way they have him playing on his team. And I definitely think the role that they have him slotted into has been affecting his mental, like his confidence. Like I just feel like he doesn't have that same confidence he did back when I played with him, where he would chow anything and win it because he can, you know. And I don't know if you guys, Pat, do you agree with me on that, or do you think Mac is just, you know, he's just fuck, you know, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Because I know that, listen, I know there's some bias with me and Mac because obviously I played with Mac, I brought him in, but that's my honest opinion.
I just fully disagree with the system the Seattle team is using and the way they're playing. I actually completely disagree with it. I think the idea that like people are intentionally playing an OBJ role because they just have too good of slayers on their team and they're having to take a back seat. We're just not in that era and that age of Call of Duty anymore. On top of that, I think any team, but Seattle is a main component of this, running this like perma veto, auto veto mentality is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It's never worked. It never will work. So yeah, I think there's more issues than just how good certain players are. I think, you know, outside of those things, the big issue with me is still like Pred is the only one that's consistent, and it's honestly insane to me how
Dante's
consistent
been playing
he
pretty
is.
good. Dante's been playing pretty good,
not as consistent. That's the thing. It's like he's had moments. Like Dante's a star.
Yeah,
he's had moments, but he's not had like. But bro, Pred is playing at like an insane level, and he's doing it every series. Like he's 100+ kills in every single series they play. And I feel like, yeah, I mean they're getting let down in the other aspects of other people on this team.
Wow.
But again, like I think even if you kept this exact roster, they have core issues that we were talking about earlier that are just limiting them from the get-go. So I think Mac needs to be better. Lamar had a pretty good stage, but because we had a lackluster stage from Mac and a pretty inconsistent stage from Sib, it's like it didn't really change anything, because it's like if Lamar played that good while the other two still played as good, then maybe we would have seen a better Seattle. But like I said, this team's just a roller coaster. They've been on this up and down for a long time. I've been calling it for years. Seattle Surge need to blow it up, and they need to make a change, and they will be glad they did, because they might actually have a run at a title. This is a team that if they blow it up, Tom, I was saying earlier, I don't think any team can crack the top 4. If a Seattle Surge team blows it up and gets some talent, that more consistent talent, and scrap this like whatever system they got going, I think this is a title contender.
Yeah,
Bro, they gotta stop. Bro, I'm so tired of your point, Pat, of them fucking banning Mercado against teams that just aren't gonna play Mercado. Like this
Auto veto.
auto veto thing
auto
is
vetoes are
killing
terrible.
them,
Auto
bro.
vetoes have always been terrible.
It
Bro,
makes
Ben,
sense
Ben, what
against Thieves. Bro, it makes sense
Ben,
against Thieves and OpTic.
Look at my background. Look at my background. You see this?
It's a
I
fat
never
check.
played. I hated Valkyrie Hardpoint. I hated it so much. Our whole team hated it.
It was a great map.
And Envy picked it against us and waxed us on it, even though I was frying on it. But because it was TK's auto veto, Ben, they auto vetoed my team's worst map, and now I'm sitting with a $600,000 world championship check in the background. So thank you for having an auto veto. It's the dumbest shit in the world.
Bro, against Thieves and OpTic, I understand their Mercado veto, but bro, part of their problem against fucking FaZe is they're getting the double Mercado out, and you should leave the Mercado hardpoint in against them and be confident that FaZe is like kind of like suspect on that map. I just think that they just the double V, like having one auto veto, like FaZe auto veto, say Fortress SND, like OpTic auto veto, like Embassy hardpoint, I believe, or Search. But either way, you can have one mode, you have an auto veto. You can't do it in both, bro. It's killing them.
How do you have an auto veto? You get on and scrim every day. Get better
just
at
get
it.
better at the game. Yeah, I agree.
Copy someone else.
But
It
makes
can't be
sense. Like,
that bad, bro. It
like,
That's
can't.
what I'm saying.
I'll say this. Like Mercado SND as an auto veto, I understand. Mercado hardpoint, I don't understand. Unless you're like super checked on the map. Fortress SND, I understand because it's a fucking weirdo map.
Do you guys agree with?
I get it.
Before you go, we got a donation coming in from Scholar. This is such a crazy stat. He said, crazy stat. Since Major 1, Seattle Surge has only beat LAG on land. Crazy to think about. That is a crazy stat.
How many times they lost them online?
I mean, but we're talking about on land. I mean,
on land.
We're just talking about on
I brought that
land.
out last
They've
time.
only beaten them once. Well, how many times have they played them?
No, Ben. He's saying that's
In
the
general,
only team they've
that's the
won.
only team
they've
that they've
lost to
beat.
everybody else.
You're saying they've. Oh, I didn't understand. Well,
Yeah, the
that's actually
only people
fucking
Seattle
tragic.
Surge have beat on land since Raleigh. So basically, all of 2023 is the worst team in the league.
Is that
Well,
true?
That's true.
It makes sense because like they've had this problem where they get bounced to losers by like FaZe, and then they just lose instantly when they get to losers. And like what happened at this event? Well, they lost to FaZe. They won the first minute and then got gentlemen swept. They had to grind out that series against LAG. I don't know if y'all remember, but like LAG was like 1-1. LAG won that Fortress Search. The control was really close. LAG battled, and they got fucking like had on Embassy Hardpoint. And it went to last map, and it was like Embassy Search, like I don't know, and LG kind of trolled a lot, and they won that. But then like the Rokkr series was bad. We got to talk about it with Seattle, bro. They went up 2-0 in that series.
Yeah, that was a bad
Rokkr
series,
looked
bro.
dead. They fucking paused, like the CeeLo was mixy, and they broke down after the fucking CeeLo. They got had on Fortress Hardpoint. If I remember the hotel, like they were making a lot of dumbass plays, including the one we talked about with Mac, where he fucking trolled on Kitchen, fucking with the bomb site, and then him and Pred were like shooting fucking threes from the logo, challenging people mid map the rest of the round. It's all good. He tossed around. You're up 4-3, and they fucking broke down. Like,
Do you
I
guys
think it's a huge
agree
problem for Seattle.
how I set up the C tier? Minnesota, Vegas, Florida, in that order. Do you guys agree with that or no? I put Florida at the bottom of the C tier.
I agree with that. Florida, I don't even know if I'd put Florida in C tier. What do you think?
I was
Pat?
thinking maybe top of D. I don't know where to put Florida. Like they're definitely either top of D or bottom of C. But what do you think? Yeah, Pat, where's your head at?
I'd probably throw them in D because they're
That's what I
still
think.
having lackluster onlines and they're coming and getting bounced out of the lands right away.
I
Like
agree, Pat.
if they were having good online and getting bounced on land or bad online and doing decent on land, like maybe getting 8th, I could assume.
I was just looking at LAG in London, man. It's just been such a bad season for them. It's just been a rough year.
Yeah.
But I mean, same with
I
Florida.
mean, when we look at the points though, I mean those are the bottom 3. Like,
Yeah.
those guys are 10, 11, and 12 have like 60, 70 points. Everyone else is over 100 now. So.
Well, I think this is going to complete our list. I actually like how this looks. I think this looks pretty good to me. I think this is a good list. I mean, I don't know what people in the chat or people in the YouTube comments, you obviously can tell us what you think about the list. But Ben, Pat, you guys cool with this list? I think this looks pretty good.
My only tweak, and I want to know him for the record, is I would put Toronto top of B, but other than that, it's fine.
Toronto
why?
top of B.
Because in my opinion, Toronto's better than New York, and they're worse than FaZe. I think it's like, here's my thing, Ben. Here, I'll actually give you this, Ben. Tom, and you can make the call here.
Okay.
I'm okay with us sliding Ultra down to top of B if we slide OpTic down to top of A. Because Ben, it's the same argument. You want to put him?
What does Chad think?
You want to put him there
defer to
because
Chad
you
on
feel
this.
that FaZe is better. Well, then I want to put OpTic down because I feel that Thieves is better.
I'll defer to Chad on this one, bro.
You can't defer to chat. There are 80% OpTic fans in the chat.
I'm giving the power to the people, bro.
All right, how about this? Let's defer to chat, but if it's not overwhelmingly 80%, 85% yes.
No. You want to say 2/3?
Nah, that's cap.
Nah, 80% is ridiculous. Fucking.
Why?
Run the poll, bro. Let's see where we fucking.
You think this looks better, Slay? You think this? Let's just move it. So let's just look at it, right? I'm a visual. I'm a visual guy. You know what I'm saying? So I like to move it just to see what it looks like. So after moving it, I think the list. I think it looks. It definitely looks better before how it was before. I think.
I don't know, Tom.
Better.
You see the chat? Chat spamming yes.
I've seen a few people saying yes, yeah.
We might need to put this to a vote, bro.
I understand Ultra had a rough stage, 1-4 online, right? 1-4 online. But I mean, we're looking at the whole year. They also won a chip, and we also know what Ultra brings to the table, right? I'm just trying to look at it as overall.
And I would say that FaZe, like the other argument is FaZe beat Toronto, I think twice in Major 4, right? They beat them online, they beat them in LAN.
Let me ask you an unbiased question. Name your top 4 right now. No order. Name your top 4.
Thieves, OpTic, FaZe, Toronto.
Put them in A, Tom. Put them in A.
I'm more confident Toronto over fucking New York. But it doesn't mean they're in fucking A, though, because...
It does. They're top 4. They're ahead of 5th.
No, because we've talked about this. Like, there is this fucking logjam of teams that have been comfortably, like, in the top 6, top 8, but, like, the fucking order jumbles every goddamn fucking day.
I like it like this.
Toronto at the moment is ahead of all these fucking teams.
I think it looks better like this, Pat.
Yeah, but Ben, my argument is like our top 4 is almost solidified.
My only argument was OpTic in top of A. That was my only argument.
I think the only certainty.
Yeah, Tom.
That was my only
Tom,
like
that
maybe.
Looks good.
You know what I'm saying?
Looks good.
Maybe.
Tom.
Nah, I don't agree with that. But like,
because of OpTic's recent placings, 4th, 2nd, and the way that they compete against Thieves, and I mean their head-to-head against FaZe is insane. I mean, I definitely I don't mind them having them in the bottom of S. I think LAGs is clear cut number 1 though.
Chat's saying that looked perfect. I'm just saying.
The chat is the poll just came in, Slay, and the chat is 54% OpTic S tier, 46% OpTic A tier. That's the poll.
And then you gotta factor in how many are OpTic fans. So I think Ben, you said it. You said 2/3. We're under 2/3. Ship them to S or A, Tom. Ship them to A.
We shipping them to A or what? We shipping them to A or what?
Ben said 2/3, and it barely got over a half.
It did say 60%.
This looks good.
I would Toronto to B though. If we're gonna do this,
I would not. I don't know. I do not think Toronto should be in B. I do not think Toronto should be in B tier. And personally, they're
like top of B. They're like almost B plus. It's like they were on the borderline. Because I trust him more than we trust him more than New York.
Oh, you want to put Toronto in the same tier as a team that's beating LAG? The only team they beaten on land is LAG. You want to put Toronto Ultra in the B tier?
I think the B team would be all teams with like an obvious weakness. Toronto good in respawn. Search was questionable last stage. Same with New York, Seattle, pretty similar, and then Boston actually probably a decent
listen, I'm not scared of OpTic fans, to people saying that in the chat. It's just I hear people on their argument, right? Like, Ben, you guys said that last year we put FaZe in the S tier and it was Fugaze, right? Yeah. So I hear that argument. Like, I hear that side. Like, I get that. Like, I definitely get that. But I also agree with Pat that people were tripping when we put them in the S tier.
Yeah, they disagree with it completely.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, people were tripping when we had FaZe in the S tier, when they were getting crazy placings over and over again, but didn't win a chip. And now people want to see OpTic in the S tier. And the only reason why I had OpTic in the A tier is because they haven't won a chip yet this year, where LA Thieves, FaZe, and Ultra have all won a championship. That's the only reason why I had OpTic at the top of A. Granted, last year we had FaZe and S when they didn't win a championship, but I also think these are two completely different rosters. FaZe was a roster that has been together and has won championships in the past, right? They're like
we can still argue this is a honeymoon.
It's hard to compare the FaZe roster from last year to the current OpTic roster now. Like, it's hard to compare those two rosters. So it's completely two different situations. But I definitely think that this is like the only thing I would change, either OpTic top of A or bottom of S. Like, I would have it like this. But Again,
Tom, you did phenomenal work. This is perfect.
Thank you, Slay. Thank you very much, Slay. I think
It's not that bad of a list. I like it.
No, I think it looks good no matter what. To be honest, I think it looks good. A lot of people are gonna
hate on the Toronto thing, but like
Toronto needs to be an A, bro. I think
I have way more faith in Toronto at the moment than I do than New York, Seattle, and Boston. I think it might age well because again, Seattle's gonna play this next, or sorry, rather, Toronto's gonna play the next stage, and they're gonna go home and play in front of their home crowd. I think thinking they're gonna get top 4 is a pretty good bet.
If you add it, sure. Somebody are like add an A+ tier and add OpTic into the A+ tier. I don't really want to do that.
Making it too complicated.
Yeah, no, I don't like adding I don't like adding like the plus tiers or anything like that. But obviously Chris and Ben voted. Me and Pat voted. It was a tie. Then we went to the chat. OpTic's in the S tier. We'll keep him in the S tier for now. We'll keep him bottom of S. So we'll keep it like this. Overall, I think the list looks good. I like the list. I like it. I see some people saying trash list, but I think your list is trash. I think your list is fucking trash. I like this one. You know what I'm saying? So this is gonna be our final list after Major 4. Obviously, we'll see as Major 5 goes on. We got matches starting. We'll see how it all goes. But we're gonna hop into some community questions, man, on Reddit. We'll go through it. I posted on Reddit right before the show, so not really too sure how many comments came in, but we'll see what's going on here over on the Reddit side. Let's tune in and see what the first question is. Coming in from Young Canadian. What is the best roster in COD history that was supposed to happen but fell through at the last minute for whatever reason? Good question. What was a roster that was about to... I would say Shotzi to FaZe. I would say
Shotzi to FaZe.
Shotzi to FaZe is a crazy one.
There were a number of people that turned down FaZe in the beginning of Modern Warfare 2019. That could have taken like a major maniac spot. So it would have been like some top ARs that didn't want to play on that team. Pat, I'm curious like what maybe teams that you would have formed that would have been really good.
Some people are saying me in World War II to OpTic. You agree with that?
That would have been a good squad, yeah.
I also think Pred. Somebody said Pred to OpTic. I think is a good shot as well. Pred going to OpTic could have been like Pred and Shotzi together would have been fucking nuts. I think that's a good shot as well.
Yeah. What do you think? What Pat? What is a team that like you could have formed that like didn't form for some bullshit reason? That would have been amazing.
There was a 48-hour period where Seth almost joined Complexity.
Really?
Yeah.
What game was that?
Started Ghost.
That would have been insane. That would have been nuts. Almost like what do you mean by almost?
Almost, yeah. Like he was in the group text almost, or like?
Yeah, conversations were being had. Like, what do you mean?
what prevented it? Like you just didn't want to leave OpTic? Like is that basically what came down there?
I'm sure.
No, not really. I mean, you saw him go to Envy, like a few months later.
But this is pre UMG Philly, is what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like what was the lead up?
But he also went to Envy, and that didn't last very long.
It might have been in the lobby, UMG Philly.
Yeah, he also him on Envy didn't last very long, Slay.
Oh, I know.
Which was, bro, I remember that time when Scump went to Envy. That was a crazy time in COD. That was insane.
That was the OpTic blacklist time. Like
I remember I was still going to school and still playing ball, and I just remember being at school looking at that shit like, bro, what the fuck?
Chris was on OpTic for 5 seconds during that whole split, and then they made the team with Clay and Bose,
so what was supposed to be the team? Pat, you, Porter, Scump, and Damon? Was that the team? Because you're not dropping Teep, or are you? Or are you dropping Teep? Like, what was going to happen there? Or was it going to be or was it Damon not going to be there? Because Damon came later on, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would have been our original trio. Like me,
so you, Prim, and Scump,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's that makes sense. Because Damon came in late, right? You had Clay originally. And
Seth would have took my role, and and Krim would have moved to main. And I would have went to flex.
That team would have been really good. And Ghost, you guys would have been fucking. All right, you guys would have been unbeatable in Ghost for that team. Holy shit.
I mean, we were unbeatable regardless, so it really didn't matter. It was like just who wanted to win. You know what I mean?
Hey, Tom's team started fucking popping the scene at the end of the season.
Hey, Tom, let him know, Tom. Let him know, Tom. What about that one time I gave you a quick ring up before the last event?
Yeah. No, and Ghost. Yeah, no. I got the offer from EG. I got the EG offer for sure. I don't know why. I don't know what was going through my head at that time. I don't remember. Everybody was offering me a spot. I'm not gonna lie, Pat. Everybody at the end of Ghost, bro. Everybody was offering me a spot.
Just like after the last event.
Oh, we offered a lot of people a spot
in between Ghost and AW?
Yeah. It was based like our
Me
team was
joining Envy
pretty
was the worst
unrecoverable.
decision I've ever done in my life.
Envy fucked up 2 different teams in the beginning of fucking AW.
Hey, same Tom. Same.
Me joining Envy was a huge mistake on my part.
Bro,
Huge
their
mistake.
first
Same,
team,
Tom.
their
Same.
first team was, bro, the Envy journey in that game was so weird. Their first team, like the Clay team, was really bad, and the team that you ended up on was also not that good. It took them fucking like an entire year to figure it out.
Yeah, nah, it just was not a good mix of players, to be honest. Like, we just didn't mesh well at all. And AW especially, bro, we just could not get it. It was me, Merc, Nameless, and Nado, and we could not get on the same page, bro. They used to yell at me for playing too fast. And then I got to FaZe, and it was a different story. But go ahead, Slay.
I would actually argue, and like, at least on paper, this was like one of the best teams to form ever. If you guys remember in Black Ops 1, like how good JCap was,
Yeah,
and obviously how good me, Seth, and Teep were. A lot of people don't know this. We teamed for basically like after the BO1 season, where like, I mean, my top 3 in that game is like me, Seth, and Cap. Order it however you want. And in Modern Warfare 3, we picked Cap up like right away. That was we picked it was me, Teep, Scump, and Cap for like 2 weeks, and then OpTic acquired Scump like not long after that.
I mean that team would have been really good.
Let's go to the next question, man. We got Black Debate coming in hot with a question. He says, should S&D have timeouts? There's obviously a lot less rounds compared to CS, but could be an interesting change that could allow teams to regain and make some adjustments. Think 1 timeout per team would be fair. That's a good question, bro. Timeout in S&D, just one per team, might be kind of lit. That might be kind of dope, but it can't be a long timeout. Can't be a long one.
I think 30 seconds, and I actually legitimately think it's a good enough idea that they really should consider it next season.
30 seconds or like 40.
Really
Like it would have to be short. It would have to be a short timeout. Like it can't be like a 2-minute timeout, bro. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be like 30, 45 seconds, and then that's it.
It would be really helpful. The number of teams I think would definitely make use of this, both on like winning a round, losing a round type situation. I think this would be a really good future out of it. We know that the game can be paused via the match mechanic. We've seen it paused in the NSND, so like theoretically it should be doable.
Yeah, somebody in the chat was like, "Well, teams are just going to use it to ice opponents." ... But that's the whole point.
In real sports,
right? That's the whole point, right? If somebody in the NBA, right, they go on like a 10-point scoring fucking streak, they call it timeout.
Injury timeouts, the fake injury timeouts.
Well, see, the Astralis famously did this in CS:GO for a while, that they would call timeouts after they won a round, like. And just kind of let the other team marinate on it and talk through like what they want to do going forward.
Oh, I used to take the longest bathroom break when I was up 2-0.
The bathroom breaks, the fucking
bro. When I'm up 2-0, like
trying to let them marinate.
Yeah, I'm drinking extra water before I go pee.
For real?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You getting the long one in there, Slay? Get the long piss in there?
And I'm washing the hands, extra soap, Tom. I'm scrubbing all around. You know, double washing.
You want to know a little tip? A little tip for people grinding. Me and Juanito used to do this. Me and John, we used to do the same shit because we were always in the bathroom doing it. We were fucking in the sink, right? Hot water, right? Yeah. Soak your wrist in hot water for a minute, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Soak your wrist in hot water for a minute. I guarantee you feel loose, bro. You feel fucking loose. Okay, try it. Slay, you ever do that?
Nah, I never did that, huh?
Right now, Slay, you should try that. It works. But Ben, you ever do that?
No, but it does.
What about you, Chris? You ever do that, Chris? All right,
thanks, Chris. Thanks.
It's always a pleasure hearing from Chris. It's always a pleasure hearing from fucking Chris in the building. Listen, chat, get your head out of the garden. Mono, let's go to the next question. From the perspective of former players and staff, what do you guys think the CDL should do moving forward to help the league and orgs grow? Good question. Coming in from Snoop Guavas.
I got a quick answer for you, Tom. Real quick.
Slay. Go ahead, bro.
Change the middle initial from a D to a W. That's all I got to say, Tom.
Wait, what'd you say? You said change the CDL back to the CWL, you're saying?
That's all I got to say,
I actually think the CDL's been doing a great job. I think they've been doing a good job. I think the events have been lit.
I think the biggest thing with basically the key issue is the team economic model just like doesn't work. That's just like not a CDL problem. You're seeing in like LCS right now is a huge problem, right? I think, and I saw a lot of smart people talk on Twitter about it. I saw that even like, I know Adam App had a whole thread. I saw that Jack Felling was former commissioner of LCS. Also, she worked on CWL and Gears for a while. Also talk about this. Like, I think the microtransaction piece of how games work needs a rethink and how that can better work players and teams. And what's holding that back is that a lot of that revenue is tied to compensation of people at the executive level in studios. And so until they rethink their compensation, like that barrier's there, and teams don't have, like, bro, we just today got the team created skin drop finally, like 8 years later, first time we've ever had that. Why the fuck is that just happening now? Why is that not happening multiple times throughout the season? Why are we not having event specific drops? Why are we just now getting fucking stickers? Like, MTX.
Why can we not figure out crowdfunding?
Bro,
Yeah, crowdfunding. I would never understand the crowdfunding thing. I will never understand that ever.
I don't know if that would help. It helps to an extent with growth. Like, you can argue that, like, interest in the international.
It helps, bro. If there's more money on the line, people will tune in, bro.
Bro, Ben, I literally have not played a game of Dota in my life.
But you tune in the international because
I watch the international.
So did I. So did I. Is it, bro? I don't understand that.
I'd be learning shit. I'd be like, yo, what's that character do? Like.
Yeah, no, I agree, bro.
I think, listen, I think there's a lot of tools on the publisher side that can be leveraged to help teams, and I think that's basically the answer. MTX is like the easiest, but like, just the team model is so busted right now in esports, and like the bailout is going to be on the publisher side and what resources they can provide to help that out.
Also, there's just one guy that keeps spamming in the chat saying ZooMaa, the CDL is doing a terrible job. I completely disagree. The CDL got thrown with fucking curveballs, especially starting the first year with COVID and having to just completely change their whole business model after COVID.
I will say though, if and this isn't really like what the CDL can do better, but like, this is kind of more of a avoidance question answer.
Yeah,
is I really think the CDL should avoid going back to YouTube.
That was gonna be my next thing. Fuck this.
Yeah, I mean, they should be on every platform.
Bro, the Twitch thing. Okay, like, let's talk about the team side, right? Okay, and Tom and I have talked about this specific thing before, so he's gonna know where I'm going with this. Bro, the YouTube thing is a dumb idea. We've seen explosive growth on Twitch. This may, when it's all said and done, be the most watched season of COD we've ever had. TDL, CWL, MLG, whatever. Like, hours watch, AAV, whatever fucking metric you want to pick, right? Watch parties have been really key. Bro, like, monetizing watch parties, and I'm not just saying that because it's something that we would benefit from, OpTic would benefit from, but bro, the league's out here getting fucking sponsors. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, everybody can be a part of that inventory for brand deals, including the watch parties. And everybody can share in the economic growth there. Like, I feel like you go to YouTube and you kill all of that upside. Yeah. I don't see it. It's not just for us. You know, team specific streams are going to become a key thing 5 or 10 years down the line. We talk about fucking Miami Heretics, bro. We're probably going to have a big Spanish fucking language stream next season. That's probably going to get a lot of viewership.
Yeah,
if Ebon wants to start watching fucking CDL matches, like,
I would love to ask this question because, again, people are just coming. They completely disagree with my CDL take. I don't understand. I feel like a lot of people complaining about the CDL are complaining to the wrong people. I think they're trying to complain to Activision, not the CDL. What was the difference between the CDL and the CWL? What was like the biggest difference?
Well,
it was an open ecosystem.
What can I say and not say? I mean,
besides for it being a franchised league, but I wasn't even thinking about it like that.
So CWL, so like, let's walk it back.
Of course, right? Everybody would love to go back to we would love to go back to open bracket style, like, or we would all love that. That's the MLG, biggest difference. But besides for that.
So MLG existed as an independent company for a long time, and they licensed the ability to run all these titles at their open circuit events. And then, I don't know, I guess Sundance and Stepstone negotiated, like, getting the company, or at least the assets of the company, bought by Activision, right? And so then CWL became sort of Activision's first venture into, like, really committing to a first-party esports thing. But at the same time, I guess someone at the high level of Activision were chasing this city-based model of, like, you know, let's get our billionaire friends in, they buy in, and then it becomes 5x, and everybody makes a shitload of money. And that didn't really work out. And I think a lot of those people have now left. So
we need that guy's dealer, Ben.
Well, I think as you've seen over the years with the departure of a lot of executives on the Call of Duty, the Overwatch League side, the Activision Blizzard esports side, and even C-level executives that existed to oversee all of those programs, like, a lot of those people are now gone. So I agree with you. I think people that, like, when they talk about the YouTube thing and say, oh, like, what's Daniel doing? Like, I don't think it's Daniel making these decisions. I think it's...
So Ben, what you're saying is Activision execs were selling snake oil.
I think it's not just an Activision problem. You know, when people talk about this esports winner thing, I think a lot of people were responsible on the publisher side. A lot of people were responsible on the team side. I think people are buying into these like newso reports and these projections that this thing was just going to fucking blow up and people are going to be packing 20,000 people into MSG every other week to watch esports was a ridiculous concept.
I mean, who thought that though?
Legitimate people. Like, what do you think the pitch was to get people into CDL? Have you ever seen the original CDL pitch deck?
No.
Yeah, but
Like,
didn't they use like online multiplayer numbers, like nothing esports related? Like
but,
they
the
used
projections that were in those decks, and it's not just
yeah.
a CDL thing.
If we could convert 10% of our casual audience to watch every esports event, we'll have 15 million people watching. But like, there's not 15% people interested in competitive version of Call of Duty.
It's not just COD. I've seen decks like this for FIFA esports. I've seen decks like this for League of Legends. I just think
there's a massive inexperience from like these people who are buying in that don't have esports knowledge.
I think,
which is why I've been trying to advocate. 3 million over 3 will save you a lot of money in the long term.
I think, Pat, listen, people look at like, right, Mark Cuban's a great example. People see that story of Mark he bought the Mavericks for like 200 million or something like that, right after he got out of his streaming business. Used that money to buy in, and now it's worth probably 10x that, right? And people are chasing that kind of level of investment, and that's why people were willing to throw like the millions into the CDL, OWL projects, the LCS projects, because I think they could make that return, and it didn't work out that way. And now we've got to kind of exist in this sort of thing of like, well, the events business, the media rights sides of the business aren't going to get the return you want. So like, what actually exists out there? I don't think it's specific to CDL. I just think it's a massive industry-wide problem, and a lot of people that were chasing the bag and a lot of people that knew what was out there was fraudulent, and they just didn't care because they're making 6-7 figures from their org anyway.
Somebody said CSGO, League of Legends, Valorant don't do city-based bullshit. Isn't Valorant going into city-based shit? Aren't they franchising or no?
Okay, so CSGO is a weird example. I think that ecosystem is surprisingly self-sustainable to an extent, although we saw like Copenhagen Wolves has recently gone under. Astral's having issues.
CLG or CLG just went under too, right?
CLG's issue. LCS is not really like doing particularly well, right? There's been a lot of talk about LCS in the last 2 or 3 months about the lack of marketable stars, viewership's down. They're moving it to midweek games, and like Riot's basically relegated to the B stage. Like, people are really worried. Valorant right now is getting great viewership, but it's not city-based franchising, and they've actually split the difference into the format of that. We talked about in the beginning of the show. Yeah, you've got some partner teams. I don't even know if there's a major buyout for those partner teams, but you also have the ability for teams to qualify in through the challengers portion. Like, there's an aspirational path for other orgs to get in, and so it's not like a fully open ecosystem, but it kind of is. Like, I think that might be a more path, but I think the city-based thing was a not particularly smart idea.
It was a massive blunder.
Well, they wanted this self-sustaining ecosystem where they owned all the intellectual property, i.e., like if you didn't have city-based franchising, you could have FaZe Clan, 100 Thieves, OpTic in, but they own the intellectual property. And so you create the city-based thing where you all owned it, and then the out for some of those orgs was like license the brand name, but it still didn't fucking work. So here we are.
Let's hop into the next question from Expert Pollution. He said, can you blame teams in a league for accepting a YouTube deal when it could give each team 7 figures in income every year?
They're not going to, that's so capped. They're not going to get 7 figures.
Wow, 7 figures.
That's not happening. Where is this? What people think like media rights exist out there on planet Earth around esports where they're going to get 7 figures a year?
7 figures, man.
At best, the rev share could be 6. I don't know what franchise agreements exist out there, but like you look at, say, the agreement that was signed in regards to Overwatch League CDL and the cloud hosting with Google a couple of years ago, and that was rumored like 120 mil. Well, I think Activision pocketed most of that, and also we don't know how much that split was for the cloud hosting portion of the deal. So there's 0 chance. I think.
I mean, if it was 7 figures, or if it was that kind of, I mean, no, I probably wouldn't blame them. I mean, money talks. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, they're trying to make money, right? So I definitely, I don't really know. And I don't even know what's going on with all that YouTube stuff. There was like a period of time where it was like a big thing. Like everybody was talking about it. Like a rumor got out. And it's been completely dead ever since that rumor. I have not heard a single thing.
I've told you what my conspiracy theory is that I think that certain people had a lot to lose with the YouTube move, and they got it out there and kind of gave Activision or people at Activision leverage to kind of punt on it. But I do think Activision is chasing that revenue, and I would say it's a mistake. I think if it's going to happen in CDL, it's going to happen in the offseason. We see that Overwatch League's not streaming on Twitch right now, so I don't know what to think about all that.
I saw a rumor that when the Overwatch League comes back, it might be like in the new season when they come back.
It's already back, and they're just streaming on YouTube. They're not on Twitch right now.
Oh, really?
So,
the new season's already back?
Yeah, it's back. It started last weekend.
Oh shit, that was soon.
I was watching. It was interesting.
This is actually an interesting question coming in from Candy Nipples. It's an absolute pleasure.
Wait, hold on, real quick, Tom. That's another problem. The season's back, and I don't even know about it.
Well, okay. I mean, Overwatch League is a fucking mess. Let's be honest. Like, for reasons.
I'm still in esports. I'm still on Twitter. Like, I didn't even know it was back. That's crazy. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, let's tune into this question. Recently, last 20 years, there has been a wave of self-care in sports in order to perform better on a consistent basis, extend your career, prevent injury/burnout, promote a healthier life for yourself, etc. Some of the most prominent examples would be Tom Brady and LeBron James. These guys treat taking care of their bodies as nearly as important to the direct practice they put in. Do you think we will see a wave anytime soon of esports players and organizations take the overall health of themselves, their players, more seriously in order to have more success? Eating healthy, regular exercise, proper stretches and regular treatment of hands/arms, preventative physical therapy, proper enforced rest, promoting mandatory breaks away from the screen every 2 to 4 hours, etc. I believe we see a lot of these habits with select players, but can't help but think there is so much room for improvement to make these things a more prominent part of being a professional player in order to get the most out of your mind and body and be focused and sharp during practice and matches. Yeah, I think a healthier lifestyle leads to a healthy mind. I think a healthy mind leads to better play. I mean, I will always die by that on that hill. I think if players are taking care of themselves more, they're hitting questions, if they're hitting stretches, if they're exercising, if they're going outside and getting some sunlight and going on walks, and I definitely think people who lock themselves in their room and just play hours and hours a day, I think they're gonna get to a high level quick, but they're going to crash fast.
Let's also be clear here, Tom. It doesn't matter if you're a esports player or not. I don't care if you watch Twitch streams 27. Take care of yourself. Everybody should be trying to do this. Yeah,
life
everybody.
In general.
This should be an everybody thing.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I always like look back in my career, and I always just get so mad at myself because obviously I had the hand problems. And I really didn't start stretching and doing physical therapy and doing a lot of this stuff until my hand was fucked. You know what I mean? And I tell that to players now. Like, bro, I think I said something to Shotzi like, "Yo, like the way you claw, the way you play, like, bro, make sure you're taking care of your hands." And he was like, "Nah, my hands never hurt." But I was like, "Yeah, but like, bro, neither did mine." You know what I'm saying? Like, my hands didn't hurt at all. I was feeling like $1 million, especially when I was younger. And then it just, as you get older and older and older, the more stress that you put on your hands, it'll start to affect you, bro. Like, and we've seen it happen with a lot of players now. Illy being one of those guys. I know Eli was dealing with some hand problems. I think Big Wake had some problems. Caesar, a lot of players were going through just like hand soreness, and a lot of people are also very quiet about it. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that I've talked to that have hand problems, or that just in the public eye, people just don't know. Like, everybody deals with. Neptune, right? People are saying Neptune, Alec. People are talking about Alec, right? Alec tweeted out that his hand swelled up on stage, right? Like, bro, a lot of this stuff matters, man. Like, you have to take care of your body. You have to take care of your hands. It can just bring a lot more longevity to your career, and I think it'll make you play better as well. That's a great question from Candy Nipples.
I have two things to say about this. One is I was watching the Codcast is back. Shout out Nameless and Study. They're bringing that show back, which is really cool. They were doing it earlier today. They had Donnie on, and Don talked about how last couple of years he's been, like, recognizing his health. Don basically made a key point that, like, back in the day, he used to wake up 5 seconds before 2Ks, wipe the crust out of his eyes, and play that first match. Now it's like, he's like, I can't do that, bro. Before every match, I got to have my routine. I got to eat healthy. Got to have a good breakfast. I got to, like, I think a lot more players are active about this. And from the org side, there's an entity called Adamas Esports. I see one of their guys always with the New York subliner team at like every event. I think guy's name's like Matt. I think. I think they're also partnered with version 1 as well. So I think a number of orgs really do care and provide like resources, and a lot of them have like workout or nutritional stuff like at their facilities. I think with the move to CDL, you've seen a lot more recognizing that. But remember, Tom, when we had Scrappy on, he was telling us he was waking up at like 12:30, and you and I were like,
yeah, bro. Yeah, rethink it, because it's just, bro, it's just not like that lifestyle is just not. You're not gonna be able to. What's the word I'm looking for? Attainable.
Sustainable.
Not sustainable. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Pat. Sustainable. It's not sustainable. It's not. Like you're gonna hit a burnout. You're gonna hit a crash. Like you're just gonna hit a breaking point. And I hope there's young players that are listening to this bro. I know there's some young guys that are like, man, these old ass bastards. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are just old as hell and shit. Like, bro, I really hope that they're listening to this and taking it seriously. I hope they are, because especially with the way games are played now, bro, the way people are moving and movement, and the way people are holding a controller, and how much goes into playing. Yeah, bro, take care of your body, take care of your hands. That stuff is really, really, really important. But let's go into the matches coming up. We'll do some quick prediction, and then Ben's going to sing us out with a part. We start things off on Friday, May 5th. We start things off with Atlanta going up against the Los Angeles Gorillas. Sorry, just flashbanged you guys. We need a dark mode on the CDO website. Also, go get your Ghost Energy. You know what I'm saying? It's what I'm talking about. GhostLifestyle.com. But Atlanta FaZe, LAG. I'm going to go with Atlanta FaZe, LAG. Obviously, yeah, bottom of our tier list, all the way at the bottom. I'm going to go 3-0 Atlanta FaZe. Ben, who do you got?
I got Atlanta FaZe 3. I'll give LAG a map because it's the first series. Anything can happen, but I think FaZe will get it done.
Slay.
Trio, Tom.
Yeah, then we got OpTic Texas going up against the Vegas Legion. I'm going with another 3-0. I'm going OpTic Texas 3-0. I just think these teams are lopsided, man. I do think there's a drastic difference between decision making and pace, and OpTic's just gonna be a step ahead of these guys. I'm gonna go 3-0 OpTic. Ben, who do you got?
I mean,
to be fair, Vegas is on the cusp of making the top 8. They are going to be coming out with the passion, bro. If they don't come out with the passion and they start tweaking, I'm going to lose composure, bro. I'm going to lose fucking composure. If they start tweaking, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to fucking lose it. But Ben, who do you got?
So this series is interesting because I don't think Vegas is going to win, but I don't think it's going to be a 3-0 if Vegas are smart and don't play Mercado against OpTic and square up with them on like literally any map. Like let OpTic pick Fortress S&D against them. Cool. For Vegas, we're probably one of the best Fortress S&D teams. Outside OpTic, fuck it, we'll play that map. I think I have Vegas actually forcing a game 5 and then OpTic clutching out. It's gonna be a heartbreaker for Vegas. They're gonna lose the control. They're gonna lose map 1 and they're gonna lose map 5.
Pat, what do you got?
I agree with Ben's theory all the way up until the point where he said Vegas is gonna choke. I got Clay coming out, doing his thing, keeping the team alive. Clay with double digits, game 5 for the victory against OpTic Texas, Tom.
You got Vegas taking it home. You can see an upset there, Pat? Interesting.
Yeah. I'm seeing an upset early.
Okay, we'll see what happens. And then we end things with Seattle Surge going up against Toronto Ultra. This one could go either way. This is going to be a really good matchup, I think. After hearing about Seattle and in their matchup and only beating LAG on LAN, I definitely think Ultra might have the edge here against Seattle. I think Ultra really struggled last stage online. I think they want to start this stage off hot. I think they want to come up, start with a different mentality. I'm going to go Ultra 3-1. I can see Seattle taking a map. I'm going to go Ultra 3-1 over Seattle Surge. Ben, who do you got?
So if I remember correctly, these teams have played a couple of times, and I think they've both been like fairly close. Jack, correct me if I'm wrong. And I want to say that they also played each other in Major 4, and that Seattle beat them in Game 5. I think if Toronto play the search we know they're going to play, I think they win this either 3-1 or last map, but I think it's going to be pretty close. But if it's another, like, if Toronto's losing searches, bro, anything can happen in this series, truly.
All right, Slay.
I'd be very concerned.
Who do you got?
I'm gonna go Toronto 3-1, and I'm gonna go with a Pred letdown. I think Pred is gonna get let down massively again. He's gonna fry, but it's not gonna get it done.
Well, here's the problem for Seattle is Pred tweeted he's back in the States like today. So I don't even think there's a problem with Seattle. Is like I think they haven't really scrimmed that much going into this week, which is a little concerning. I think Pred took some time off in Australia. So
maybe that time off was good though. Maybe it was good for him. But yeah, they could come in a little cold, Ben. They could. You know what I mean? Ben, why don't you sing us out with a pop, bro?
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? We're getting back into matches at the end of the week. It's gonna be a fun time. We'll obviously get back into the watch parties, back into the shows. We're gonna get back to business. I know the NBA playoffs are on right now. I'm probably gonna hop into rain play after this. But in the meantime, we had a good episode, and Benji Nassim with the new slippers on. Gotta try and sink a putt for us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what Benji can do here, folks. I'm going to move over the camera a little
putter
bit.
Cover, Tom. A new putter cover.
Gorgeous.
Yankees putter cover.
Oh, go Yanks.
I know they haven't been playing that good, but shout out Willie Calhoun. Game-winning home run today.
Go Yanks, man. Go Yanks, man. Go Yanks. Ben, hit the fucking pot, huh? Ben Nassim, step it up to the plate. He's going to put the ball in the green. He's going to line it up with the stinky slippers on it. And he's going to miss the putt. He goes wide right. And the ball just rolls down. Oh, man. Oh, it's all collapsing as he steps up for a second putt and sinks it. But it's too late. The channel points have already been lost. The channel points have already been earned.
No way I lipped that putt, bro. That's actually so tough.
Man, I mean, Chris Parasite was really focused in on that putt. I mean, he was definitely looking for you to hit that putt. But, I mean, Chris, any final thoughts, Chris? Any final thoughts? All right, Chris, it's always a pleasure hearing from you. But, guys, that's going to do it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of The Flank. We did a little emergency flank. We weren't planning on running one, but we were like, fuck it. Let's do a show. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. We'll obviously get back to the matches at the end of the week. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, anchor.fm/theflank to check out all the others. We're on. Go follow at The Flank on Twitter. Gert's doing a phenomenal job running socials per usual. Go check out Stallions.club. We're going to be releasing some cool stuff on there as well, so make sure to go check out the website. As always, man, take care, brush your hair, and we'll see you guys next time on another episode of The Flank, man. Take it easy. Good night.